Hello, and welcome back to the Mead Hall. I'm your host, Jay, and today I have with me
John
and Elle.
Thank you for joining me, and welcome to another episode of The Brewery, which is our new sort of show, which is less focused on our models or news or battle reports. This is very much...
I was going to say, you could have stopped it there. This is our less focused show.
Yeah.
This is the show where the ADHD is allowed to be tangential.
Oh no, we make that every show. That's me and JB just down to a T.
Yeah, this I suppose you could say is just the show where everything else goes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It all goes in the big old mixing pot that is the brewery.
Rather, I believe named by John, actually. So.
It was named by John.
Well, one of the few times I let them loose on their own and they came up with some ideas.
Yeah. Occasionally we do come up with good ideas. We don't come... Not often.
They weren't well planned or thought out, but ideas were made.
We had like 10% of an idea.
If I had a penny for every time we come up with a good idea, I'd have 2 pennies, which is not a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice.
So today's brewery, we are going to be doing a sort of a mini review and a mini talk about 11th edition Warhammer 40,000, because a couple of us have had a game now, a practice game. We've only had the one so far, another is scheduled and more are coming. And we've also got Els with us today, which we didn't have last week, and Els is a little bit more apprehensive about starting 40k again, especially coming off the back of Legions, which obviously we've played a hell of a lot of, and returning to 40k is a bit of a jump and change. So it'll be interesting to get Elle's perspective on certain things that we might discuss, and hopefully we'll convince Els that it's worth giving 40k a go. Because I don't know what it is, it's fun again. I did struggle during 10th, but I think 11th is definitely an interesting game again. I still think Legions is better as a system, but
I could, yeah. There's thoughts on the both sides of the fence with that one, and potentially other games to discuss as well.
Maybe we'll get around to all of these discussions today. Maybe there'll be entire episodes of their own. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
So let's crack on and have a chat, shall we? So we'll zoom over to the other page, so we'll all be on screen, shall we?
Yeah, let's jump across.
So then, here we are. We are going to have a little chat about 40k, and I think the first thing we'll do is we will have a little chat about what we thought as we played our first game. So Els obviously didn't play the game, in fact she wasn't present, so chime in with questions if there's anything it's better explaining. But me and John were present. In fact, it was a 2v1. It was Eliza and John versus myself, with a interesting alliance of factions versus an interesting use of proxies.
There was there was interesting things all around. So the alliance that I was a part of was Orcs and Adeptus Sororitas. Which I think probably when me and Eliza both set up when we both set up our respective lists, we were probably going with a bit of a relatively speaking, balanced force for about 1,000 points. Would be kind of where we were looking at, And to be fair, I've also been just building a list based off of the stuff that I have from Armageddon and a little bit extra. So that's kind of where that was coming in. Eliza had similarly done something similar with an interesting spin on Sisters.
A very interesting spin considering they knew exactly what army I was playing.
Yeah, I mean, mine had one flavour, and it was the flavour that I really wanted to have. So, if we conversed a bit more and knew that we were going into it with 2v1, maybe it would have been a different kettle of fish. But the biggest chunk of Eliza's army was a Sisters melee-focused unit.
Yeah, it's a big brick.
Big old brick.
Heavily supported sacrosanct.
Yes, yeah, the sacrosants with the spears, the halberds and shields.
I believe it was.
Right, yeah, of course.
Backed up by
Isabel.
2 characters.
Backed up by 2 characters, yeah, which was a good combo of characters. It can't say it was bad.
And a rhino transport as well. It was when you put all of that in together, it was quite a hefty chunk of points worth of Eliza's army.
So
Yeah.
what's the catch then? Because that sounds all pretty reasonable to me.
Jamie was playing World Eaters.
Right, yeah.
And what happened is the melee hit, and then the World Eaters hit back. And then the World Eaters just continued to keep hitting over and over and over again.
Yes. Like that sacrosanct bomb is fantastic. It's very, very impressive what it can do. However, even a highly tooled out melee unit from an army not designed around melee against a World Eater's army, it hit hard, but again, a little bit of clever positioning, and it was very much okay, so I sacrifice one unit and then I jump on you with the rest of my army, and your clearly expensive unit dies.
Yeah, and that was what we witnessed. We very much witnessed that. And so between us, so in terms of kind of like the game setup, and obviously I appreciate that what this really was. This wasn't really a regular game of 11 for our first kind of game.
Best we could do.
Yeah, exactly. There was 3 of us, and we were lucky. We did have a look at some of the because they did for a White Dwarf. They did some free for all style games. The only problem is that they were designed for 10th, and whilst there's a lot of things which work for 10th into 11th, there were just enough bits that it didn't quite fit nicely.
And the thing is, we did want to practice 11th as best we could, so we didn't want to bodge it.
Start just carving away chunks of it before we'd even really begun. So we just did a weird skew, which, yeah, maybe we could have. I don't know. I think next time, Jamie, what we do is we just cut the board in half, and you have to do two 1,000 point games next to each other.
I mean, in fairness, it's probably not a terrible idea. In fairness,
probably would work.
It probably would work.
Reminds you, when you see this, the people who are meant to be the absolute chess professionals, and they've got the tables where they're just playing multiple games simultaneously.
Give me a couple of games, and I might be able to do that. But
sure, you probably could actually.
It was because it was a bit impromptu. Because the original plan was to have Els there, but she has returned to work now, and sadly, because of scheduling, that didn't mean that we were stuck with the 3.
Yeah.
So we kind of had to shift focus a little bit. So I think next time we were in that position, I don't want, unless we're recording an episode, because we do want to do some battle reports. I don't really like the idea of having two of you come over and then one of us not playing, unless obviously it's for a purpose, and especially when we're trying to learn as well. I kind of want everyone to be involved. So,
and I think there was definitely learning that took place. I mean, I learned quite a lot about my army. It was literally the first time I've ever taken orcs as well. So learning how.
First time I laid. Oh no, actually no, they've used.
They have played with. Yeah, it was our first experience.
Yeah, it was ours.
Yeah. So yeah, it was in terms of kind of the, I guess, going through, not trying to go blow by blow with the game, because it's not a battle report, but I think lessons learned in terms of list building, I think it's the same as 10th. It's broadly the same kind of strokes as 10th. In terms of getting up to those points.
You say that. There is some nuances to list building now, which I like, but because we didn't plan for it, I don't think either side actually made best use of that
You're on about with the detachments.
Yeah, with the detachments specifically, like the actual building, the lists and units and stuff is relatively similar, but it's the detachments that's actually really cool and really interesting. The whole force disposition concept as well.
Yeah,
that's where things have changed, but we kind of glossed over that a bit just because of the arrangement that we had and sort of like the last minute nature of putting this together. Kind of just sort of had to kind of figure it out as well.
So just for the sake of making sure that everything is laid out on the table, do you know what the force disposition thing is, Elle? Perfect. Okay, that's good. We can work with that. So, in terms of what has, like, things that have changed since 10th, the big one, like, this whole idea of this force disposition is, when you pick a detachment, and you've got your list of detachments, you now pick detachments by points instead of just, like, I am going to play this one detachment.
Right.
So, it'll be like, this detachment costs 2 points, and if you, how many detachment points you have, which in a 1,000-point game is 2, you can... Actually, this was something which I then checked out afterwards, JB, which is you can play in a 1,000-point game any 2 or 3-point detachment.
Yes.
But you can't. Or you can play 2 1-point detachments depending on how you want to do it. And then when you get to 2,000-point games, you get 3 points, and that can either be like, I'm going to pick 3 1-points. I'm going to pick a 2-point and a 1-point, however you end up wanting to do it, basically. And then what that then means is obviously it gives you like special rules based on that detachment and stratagems that you can access, which I initially thought when we're seeing 11th being announced, I thought it was going to be more around like you had to put certain units in certain detachments and then they would only get those stratagems. Whereas actually it is just a blanket, your stratagem list just increases based off of what detachments you are using, which is better.
Yeah, and to caveat that obviously is that you don't get as many stratagems for lower point costed detachments as well. So, there is still like an upper limit. You still don't go to a ridiculous number like in 9th edition where we had like 50 stratagems just for one army.
Oh god, that is something I do not miss from 9th.
You don't get that anymore, and I think the way they've done this force disposition, the detachment system, I think is really nice. Now I've started to read into it a little bit more. There's a lot of cool flexibility in there, and there's a lot of tools they can use to build on top of that.
Yeah,
haven't they gotten rid of the whole like stacking stratagems thing? So you can only use like 1 stratagem at a time or something now, instead of like 2 or 3.
You can only.
Yes, you can only. Oh, sorry, I was just going to say yes. So it's 1 per unit. So like you can't go. I've saved a bunch of CP. I'm now going to just dump, or I've got something that like reduces the cost of a stratagem, and just dump it all on this 1 Death Star and just run that in.
But you does include your CP rerolls.
Yes.
So you can't now do a stratagem and a reroll. You have to pick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which is interesting. Like it yeah. And then yeah. So then the other bit that comes off this attachment is this idea of the my brain's just gone blank in terms of the word for it. Tactical disposition.
Force disposition.
Force disposition, which basically is you pick. So say if you've only got 1 detachment, that is your force disposition. If you've got 2, you pick your 2, and that basically then.
It's possible to have 3.
Or 3, but you end up picking 1, and then whatever your opponent has determines what your primary mission is going to be.
So kind of to put it in like a Legion's perspective. So that's what else we're used to. Effectively, your armies dictate the mission you're playing. So you don't just get. So like in Legions, you have missions in the book, or you've got the custom missions I've made. in 40k now, your army determines what your goals.
Okay, I mean, I guess that narratively actually makes a lot of sense because certain armies wouldn't do certain things.
Yeah, so, and that's kind of where they've pitched it, although if you do look a bit more carefully into it, some of them are questionable, because they basically just got, we've made these 5 dispositions, so let's just make sure every faction can have access to all 5 of them, even though some of them probably still don't make sense, and they definitely don't make sense as some of the detachments they've been given to.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I was curious about trying to find out what the. Do we know what the one is for? Because there's the Night Lord's detachment.
There is. Well, technically, there's 2 Night Lord's detachments.
Oh yes, because there's the one that's like more focused on the Murder Wing, the Raptors.
The Murder Wing specific one, and there's like sort of terrorists.
Nice.
I'm trying to remember what their respective detachment, like their force dispositions are.
I can't remember, but I can probably find out very quickly.
If yours is quicker than mine, I will let you figure that part out. But yeah, the in terms of like the way that then goes is you can very much go, okay, I know this is going to be my mission, and therefore I can kind of build my army a bit more around that. It's less about going into the game and then say you roll and you're like, okay, this is what my primary mission is going to be now. You can almost go from your list making perspective is go, okay, I know I'm going to have a mission that's, let's say, one of the missions around like doing a load of objectives. So I can just go, okay, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to build all my units in like a very like action efficient kind of way, so I can get to a location, do an action, and I've taken them all as MSU. Whereas, let's say I instead go with the, instead of my force position leans me towards, I believe it's like purge the foe is what it's called. Basically, kill everything. Then you go, okay, I want to take big bricks and just run at them. And like obviously there are then still like the secondaries that kind of that exist, but just having that ability to know what you're gonna do before you build your list is quite nice.
Just so you know, both the Night Lord's themed detachments are disruption,
which makes sense.
Yeah, totally, 100%.
So yeah, it's interesting, and I think it's quite cool how they interact with each other as well.
Like even if you don't, because obviously you won't know for certain like what your primary mission is going to be, but you'll know what grouping it's going to fit within based on your detachment. Which, as I said, it means you can really kind of like start to build some lists around it from the get-go.
Is that what like some of the cards in the Armageddon box were for?
Yeah, exactly that. So you've got the chapter approved. I want to say is what the card pack is called. But yeah, in that there is you've got the stack of cards which make up your primaries. You've got your stack of cards which go to attack a defender to do your secondaries, and then you have your twist cards which we didn't play with this time because the twist that we pulled for the first game was you cannot shoot anybody who is more than 18 inches away, and it was very quickly decided that against World Eaters we would need all the help we could get. It didn't matter. And actually, we may have benefited from that card.
Yeah.
With some discoveries that were had.
Yeah, turns out I actually had quite a bit of firepower.
You had literally more firepower than we did.
Yeah, which is rather ironic.
Yeah. Yeah, in terms of there was a surprising amount of firepower in there.
We'll come on to that in a bit.
Yeah.
The way list building works is slightly different. That was my main point, and I think that's something that we need to look into more. I certainly learned some things about the way everyone around the world is now.
I similarly, but I think that was more of just a orcs thing. There's certain ways I would want to now attach some units to make them better. Just thinking about like how I would want to run them a bit more compared to how I ended up running them. I can see there's definitely some bits where I've been like, oh, I need to change how I approach this. But that's the focus of learning a new army.
It is. One thing I have found as well, looking at the attachments, I do quite fancy trying quite a few of them out. It's not like in the previous edition where I was like, that's the detachment that I want, I'm going to take that every time. Now, I kind of want to try most of them, if not all of them, at some point.
Very much the same. Like I've looked at it from an orc perspective and just been like, there is all of them I want to try. There's a little bit of me, because they have changed, obviously, some of them from 10th to 11th, and I'm kind of looking back on some of the ones that were in 10th. And there's only one, and I don't think it would have gelled with me in quite the right way, but I would have really wanted to try it just for the hilarity of it. There was the Tactical Brigade, spelled with a K, of course. Which, for reference, L, meant that you played your orcs like Guard. They had orders based off of their leaders, and you had to basically, they got orders that they were given. So they basically, because it's the Blood Axe themed detachment, who were very much like the tactical, as close as you can get with orcs, version. And yeah, they had pseudo-guard orders that they would do. Which is just a very entertaining idea. They don't have that now, unfortunately. Who knows what the codex will bring?
Was it 15 detachments they've got in the new codex?
Which is very encouraging.
Hopefully that's the base. Obviously,
Target 4.
Space Marines get 400.
Yes, of course. One for every chapter. Every chapter.
Only one for every chapter.
No. When it's every chapter.
Oh, right, every chapter. Like successes
every chapter. I'm looking forward to running my Silver Skulls detachment along with my Sons of the Phoenix.
Let's be fair, that's definitely going down or something.
I the Exorcist detachment, you know.
Can't wait for the Lamentus one, which is just negatives.
The Lamentus one is just you have to use special dice. They only have a 1 on them.
I personally think the Lamentus one should be something as stupid as you just have to reverse all your dice rolls. So a 3 up to hit is a 3 up to miss.
That, or every weapon has hazardous. There's no benefit, every weapon has hazardous.
That could be, just 1/3 of your army dies every turn.
Literally. Even the melee weapons have hazardous. You think you're safe. Hazardous on advance. Hazardous on charge. Any dice roll, you also have to then roll to see if you die.
Any dice roll of any description of the hazardous.
Is a hazardous, yeah. Is there any benefit? No.
Poor Lamenters.
Poor Lamenters. They didn't do anything wrong. Yeah. In terms of list building, I think there's a lot of new things that come out with it. I like the whole thing of the characters and the support. That was kind of already there, but they just made it easier just from the perspective of there is a word for leader, there is a word for support, whereas it used to be this ream of text of being it can attach this unit, but it can also attach this unit if another leader is attached and all this kind of stuff.
I do hope for the future what that will mean is that some factions are now going to get some support characters, because a lot of factions don't have them.
No.
A lot of factions don't even have any.
It was very entertaining to go through. I sat there and kind of just went through and been okay, so what does have that support? Because they had a symbol for support and a symbol for leader.
Yeah, so the likes of World Eaters don't have any. For example, I know in fact I don't think any, apart from potentially Death Guard, but I don't think before Chaos.
What does support character mean though? How is that different from a normal character?
So in terms of what support has looked like, at least from, I'm going to go with orcs here, has been your medic and your banner. Like, ones that aren't necessarily, like, they are accompanying a leader role.
So specifically a support character in, like, gaming terms is an additional character.
Right, okay.
So for example, I could take a war boss and a banner knob, and that could be, like, those two characters could then attach to a unit together.
Okay.
Whereas I couldn't take, like, two leaders, for example.
Okay.
But yeah, a support is more there, just like it conveys a bonus to that unit in addition to. But they can lead on their own. They don't have to be attached to a leader unit at the same time. It's just they can also attach onto another one.
So it means you could basically add more upgrades to what you made.
Yeah.
Because support characters almost are essentially what they are. Kind of like an enhancement as a model.
Yeah. Although, as we'll come on to, some of the support characters are real good.
Some of them are very good.
Some of them are good in ways that I did not expect them to be good.
But some of them are kind of just enhancements.
Yeah.
So yeah, this building has changed a little bit, and it's quite cool. I like what they've done with it. I think it definitely does encourage narrative play, because you don't just go, like, cool, this is the detachment, therefore I'm going to run 3 of everything that gets benefits from that detachment. There is still that, and that still will happen, but it's no longer a case of build everything around but one unit, necessarily. You can build your own around 2 or 3 units.
Yeah, and I think as I was saying, like, I think knowing what your mission is going to be beforehand is such an improvement over, because it's like your army determines your mission rather than the army rocks up and they're going to do the mission. They'd be like, oh, cool, so we rocked up, like, say you're playing guard and you rock up and here's my entire tank army. Oh, the goal of this is we're taking and holding, like, we're going around buildings and doing objectives and stuff like that. It'd be like, you wouldn't rock up with this army to do that job. So you can kind of go, I want to take this type of detachment, and then I'm going to build my list around that, knowing what my options of my missions are going to be. And, like, what the kind of theme of the mission, because you don't know what the other side is going to have, so it's not like a guarantee I know exactly what I'm going to be up against.
Yeah, because that's actually probably key to point out as well, is that both armies have different objectives.
Yeah, unless, of course,
not doing the same one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so what happens is you've got your two detachments and your force disposition, and then depending on what they kind of are, will determine what mission both of you get. So if I was doing take and hold, and Jamie was doing disruption, that would then lead to a particular mission that we both had to do. Versus if Jamie was doing purge the foe, and I was doing something else. I can't remember what the list of all of them are now. Reconnaissance, yeah, that would lead to a different mission. If we were both doing purge the foe, then that also leads to its own special mission.
Which I believe is mirrored. That's the only occasion you actually get the same objective.
Yes, because the pack of cards comes with 2 versions of that mission specifically. So if there's ever a time where they're like a mirror match would have the same objective, that's when you end up with 2 of the same card, and that's the only time that you actually you would both be doing the same thing. Which, to be fair, both armies of rocks up and they have the same kind of composition, would make sense that they're both trying to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so basically, it's an interesting one, because now it's not just a case of, okay, so I know what my objective is, your objective is the same, so I'm both trying to do my objective and stop yours, but probably because I'm doing it, I'm also, by definition, stopping you. Sometimes that's not quite the same, because actually, while trying to do my mission, you're still able to do your mission, so I have to go out of my way to stop you doing yours.
Mm-hmm.
It adds another level of intricacy to the way the game's played, that making it more complex.
I think it's a thing that came up from. Oh god, I've forgotten the channel now. I will remember the channel and find it in a second. But basically, this idea of like ideal gameplay from a game perspective should be you have crunch at the beginning where you're building a list and you've kind of got lots of things that you can think about, lots of different like knobs and things that you can turn. And then the middle of the game, the bit where you're actually playing, should be the easiest experience because that's when you're having to like make active decisions. So you want something that's going to be really quick and easy to go through. And then if you're doing like a campaign thing, that's where you then have like the crunch again. You get a bit more of like, oh, I've got stuff to think about. I've got a bit more of like almost like a mini game kind of at the end. And I think this has started to. I don't think the middle is not crunchy yet, as in like it's not quite the smooth, easy experience that I think it could potentially be, but it's definitely gotten easier. There's a lot of like smoothing out of the process, which I noticed quite a lot with this compared to especially compared to Ninth, because Ninth I actually played more of than 10th. I didn't play much Ninth, but I did play more of Ninth than I did of 10th. Yeah. I mean, the loss of the psychic phase is something that just it took a while to recover from, and it's still the pain is still there.
It still hurts. I haven't been able to test it yet because I'm now playing Worldies at the moment. I haven't tested out what psychic actually does. Speaking of, obviously, now that keyword is actually a boom, not a negative. It's interesting.
What does it convey?
Essentially, you just ignore all modifiers to hit rolls, or just hit rolls.
Okay, that's.
It's like a super.
I presume you only ignore negative effects to your wound rolls.
I think you can choose.
Because I was like, if you end up like yes, you it cannot be affected in any way, shape, or form. Be like so my positive improvements are affected as well.
I need to double check. It is now positive.
It would make sense, yes, and that would be incredibly helpful for ones like Grey Knights, where every weapon is psychic, Thousand Suns, where every weapon is psychic. It's not quite the same as what you call it, like it immediately conveys mortal wounds, but it still does a good job.
Yeah, it makes it more interesting.
Yeah.
I'm still going to lament the lack of spells and casting.
Thousand Suns have some of it, not all
of
it. They have some of it,
and it really annoys me that they're probably going to be the last edition I collect because I hate the current models.
Just fancy up some Heresy era kits, like you do with everything else.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. It just depends how impatient I get to start.
So yes, L. From a gameplay perspective, like the missions, I think are better handled than they have been previously.
Okay.
As a selling point compared to anything else, like knowing, I think my biggest selling point is the fact that they are, you know what you're going to be doing before you even have to play the game.
I guess that's kind of makes more sense, as well as the whole them fitting the army that you're playing makes a lot of sense as well. And I think that it could make it a bit more fun that way as well, because then you're actually playing your army like a little bit more realistically, a little bit more narratively, maybe. Yeah.
Well, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, it sounds like it would kind of play better that way as well, because if you know what you're, like you said, if you know what you're doing, you know what you're setting yourself up for, and then you can plan ahead with that in mind then.
What I was going to say is, like, from your perspective, and I'm speaking from my perspective as well, is say you just built for your Night Lords. Let's say you just built it and you said, I'm always going to take that Night Lords attachment and my list is that list, and I'm just going to really learn that list.
Mm-hmm.
It means then that regardless of who you go up against, you kind of only have this limited pool of missions that you're going to be drawing from every single time, based on whatever the opposing side is. So it's like easier to learn what that mission is going to be. Like, you can kind of go, okay, I know what my mission is always going to be. And you don't have that same, like, because there's plenty of times where just cognitive load, I just forget what I was meant to be doing as a primary. Whereas if you've almost got like that practice, it becomes like second nature of, okay, I'm up against this guy, this is the force disposition that they've got, therefore it's going to, or I'm going to, it's always going to be something kind of very similar in terms of what you have to do. When it is like the same force disposition every time.
Yeah, I get that, because I tend to, like, when we played Legions and stuff, and I know Jamie's done this a few times too, that when we played Legions and stuff, I would often forget my secondaries. Obviously, you can't really forget your primaries when you're doing Legions, because it's about objectives and stuff. But I very often forget my secondaries, and at the end of the turn, like when we're calculating points and stuff, sometimes there's been a couple of times where we've looked at each other and went, oh yeah, and I had this secondary and this secondary. Oh, did you get? Oh no, you didn't. Oh, okay, we'll move on then.
Yeah, the issue, slight issue there is with you don't have like cards and things physically.
That is a big factor. One of the things that actually did come up multiple times throughout the game. One of the things that actually came up multiple times throughout the game, and just this idea of cards in front of you which say what your secondary mission is, means that you keep looking at them. Eliza, playing Sisters, had access to Miracle Dice, and was storing the Miracle Dice behind them. And every time they would go for a roll that they really needed to make, and then just like, oh yeah, there was Miracle Dice that I had. And I was like, put them in front of you! Just put them in front of you so you cannot forget that they exist!
I mean, in fairness, I did let Eliza go back a couple of times.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what though? Because obviously I've played Sisters before, because that's how this whole furry joke started. I started with doing she-wolf sisters, right? I used to forget. This is like the very brief period where me and Jamie played 40k together. This is like maybe like 3-4 years ago. I would so often forget about my miracle dice, because you roll them each turn, and if you don't use them, they just sit there, and then you get to like the end of like turn 2, maybe turn 3, and you go, oh shit, I've got like just this layer of dice on the side of the board. I have maybe a turn before Jamie absolutely thrashes me. There's no way I'm using all of this dice now. And I always used to get really deflated. And I think this is the ADHD thing coming in again. But I just feel like mechanics like that really annoy me, because there's no kind of like physical. I would like there to be some sort of, maybe a little bit more of like a physical reminder. Obviously, I'm not playing Sisters anymore. But like I would have liked maybe like a physical reminder or something like that, so that it's not something that I would forget. So I know how easy it is to just kind of.
Sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say, I know how easy it is to just fly over your head.
I was going to say, your thing you have to remember is it Pact of the Dark Gods for Chaos?
Yes. Dark Pacts, this is what it's called.
Which I have used before, because I played Chaos at the start of 10th. It's very strong, it's not changed.
Yes. So that's the only thing you need to remember, is just do that at the start, which, to be fair, that's relatively straightforward to do.
In fairness, most of the time I would probably mention it, because it's such an obvious thing to do.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a case of, oh yeah, you can't do that, because I don't know if that was everyone told you.
Yeah. No, I think things like that. That's just more of a getting used to an army kind of thing. Yeah, I get those things kind of, I guess, eventually become second nature. Or you do what I do and just go for an army that has a once per turn thing, and it's like, cool, it's wartime.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think having the cards there, particularly like your second version of Warhammer, is very handy.
Yes.
It's just a nice, quick visual reference. I'm a big fan of using technology as much as possible, but even I had the app on my phone with all the second version stuff on it. I have to say, I found it easier just with the cards there in front of me. I was like, cool, that's what I'm doing. I don't have to pick up my phone to do anything. It's just there, easily go. They definitely have value. I don't think they have the value that Games Workshop put on them in terms of price.
If they didn't come in the Armageddon box, I don't think we would be buying them.
That just makes sense.
Jamie has a thing against like data cards and stuff. We don't have.
I'm not the only one.
I'm the irritating thing is, and this isn't just meant to be a complaint about the value, but I wish the data cards were good, because having that thing of you can just look down at a card and immediately see what it says and all this kind of stuff. But as we discovered with the core rules that came in the box of Armageddon are already out of date. Like, one of the key rules was just different. It was like, oh, it only applies to this kind of terrain. James was like, it doesn't, because the app has the new updated rules, which adds one word onto the end, which fundamentally changes it. And like, what's the point of this paper?
Yeah,
why have I got this paper?
Within about an hour of playing the game, less than a week, maybe two, of the release of Armageddon, we were like, yeah, that box book is a bad day.
It was helpful, but the thing is, I like looking through a book. I like being able to just be like, I'm going to pick up this book and I can just flick through and find the bit that I'm looking for.
In terms of rules and stuff, I do prefer them on the app because I can search the things very quickly. But in terms of like things that I need to track constantly, if I'm getting like secondaries and stuff, I do prefer having a physical thing on the table, which is also one of the reasons that this. I will show these off probably in the next Tanker Talk we do in a few weeks' time. Because John has very kindly printed some tokens off for me, which I've designed for command points and stuff like that.
They look very cool.
Which is a really nice way of keeping track of something that you can do with dice, but the amount of dice you end up rolling in this game, I don't really want to waste dice keeping track of my command points.
And it has like a very mechanical, like, it has a very physical feel, like you're spending those coins.
Which is exactly why I did them the way I did them as well. So, spoiler alert, they're coins.
Sorry.
They're 3D printable coins. Which I will show off as I'm putting in my future once I've got some made and yes, having something tangible with trackable elements in the game, I think is very useful.
Yes. And that then comes back to, and I didn't feel, and this kind of leads into a bit of an issue that I had, especially with 9th, and to a certain degree with 10th, was stratagems and like CP management. Like there didn't feel like there was a moment where I couldn't do what I wanted to do because I didn't have the CP available. Like, if I'd spent the CP, I had done something I wanted to do, and if I had kept the CP, it was because I was keeping it for something I wanted to do. Whereas I always felt like, in like the other games, it was like I have too much because I've not done anything with it, because there hasn't been the right opportunity, because it's like, oh, the stars have to align in the correct way for you to be able to use this one stratagem. Or you go, oh, I just need to hold out until it's at its absolute maximum worth. I don't know whether this is just a flip of my mindset, or whether it actually is just feels better in that sense. But just being able to spend them a bit more freely, and I feel like kind of sitting around like the 2 CP is kind of like the sweet spot, because then you've got at least an option for, like, because most things I think now are either 1 or 2 CP. So I think I don't know whether they have like universally got rid of 3 CP. I haven't particularly like kept track in terms of whether there is anything that is still 3 command points, but it's just very nice to kind of have that, because having something that is a 2 command point stratagem is okay. Like, either you didn't use one in your first turn, your opponent had a turn, right, now I'm going to go to the next turn, and I'm going to spend that 2 CP stratagem to do a thing. Which, it felt better. I don't know how to describe it other than it felt better this time around.
I can't comment on that because of the way we had structured the game with 2v1. I had double CP anyway.
You were swimming in them.
There was at one point, I think, like turn 3, I had like 7 CP, so I just started to spend like pennies.
Yes, that was that was our attempt at rebalancing from.
The thought process was that obviously we all wanted to try out our new toys, so I didn't want you two to only have one between you and share it per turn. That would have felt it would have been difficult for you two. So the alternative was obviously you each get CP each, and therefore I needed to compensate with that, with getting the extra myself. That's the
yes, it wasn't a fair representation on your side, and I don't think there would have, like, that was a fairest way of kind of doing it. But it did lead to some interesting scenarios, because you just could, like, just pick whatever. But in a similar vein, I don't think there was much in the way that you were, like, I don't think you abused it.
I couldn't really, because again, this is kind of the nice thing that they've done with the rulers. I couldn't just go, oh, well, I got so many CP, let's just pile all of them on one unit for one turn and absolutely smash them into bits. I couldn't do that. It did mean that I could spend a little bit more willy-nilly throughout the game. But then equally, I suppose, you guys were basically able to do double stratagems in the turn anyway. It does work. It probably felt worse because I was doing it with one army, whereas you guys were getting it with your one army, but you were part of a team. So it felt more egregious from your side, but in reality, it should have been about right.
I also definitely think that team is a strong word in terms of what was happening, because what we were is we were 2 1,000 point armies going up against a 2,000 point army with a bonus CP. What ended up happening from that was it went about as well as you could expect when you're trying to... You haven't really built synergy, and we didn't think about building synergy because we didn't know that we were going to need to build synergy at the time.
No, so I think that's probably the biggest point I think we need to make about our experience with 11th edition in that first game is, I think, to a point, I think the game was kind of decided at the beginning because, one, I probably do have the most experience playing the game.
Yes.
So even though I haven't played 40k for like 2 years, I've also got ridiculous good memory, so it doesn't take much for me to come back to the game. So I already have the experience advantage. I then had the advantage of extra CP, kind of. I think in this case it basically was extra. And then on top of that, I had a coherent army.
Yes,
so
and I think,
it was very much stacked against you two in that game. And in theory it shouldn't have been. In theory it should have been the other way around. But because those 3 things came together, it meant it was actually very much the other way around.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things was you could kind of go, I've built my infantry force. Right, what are the toys I want to play with? And unfortunately, me and Eliza were on the other side being like, we've got our core force, we've run out of points now, and oh no, there's some scary toys on the opposite side of that board. And the toys were toying.
It very much reminded... This little bit of conversation reminds me of a particular scene in Game of Thrones, where Robert Baratheon is speaking to who's Cersei Lannister, he says, "What is the bigger number, 5 or 1?" What's that? 5 or 1?
5.
5 is a bigger number? So, and I am going to mimic what happens in the scene, okay? He literally does this. He says, 5 or 1. And that was this game. You had essentially 2 armies, 2 brains, double the amount of resources in theory. I had one coherent force that was able to act like a sledgehammer. It was like coming at me with 5, little masonry hammers, and I just had a sledge.
Spoilers, I mean, it's not a battle report, so we can probably say it didn't go swimmingly, one might say. It started out alright. It looked okay for maybe the first turn and then a half. But we also should have expected it, but it went exactly the way it always does, which is Jamie goes, "Here's my army. Now watch it disappear from the board." And it's like a fucking Hydra, which again is very appropriate for you. You'd cut a head off and you'd get 2 more. You'd be like, "Oh, no," because it wasn't. Sorry, I'm gonna go on one now. Because it wasn't just the stuff that was in reserves. It was like, okay, we dealt with that unit of jackals. But what if I had a stratagem that brought them back? And I was like, yeah.
I mean, that's the least egregious version of it as well, because I was running them units of 10. If I'd done them in bricks of 20. Spoiler alert, I'm probably paying up some more soon, so bricks of 20 are on my way.
It's funny. It's funny because obviously, for context for the audience, Eliza's partner was also there and was helping look after Alex whilst everyone was playing Warhammer. And I messaged them and was just like, "Hi, hope everything's okay. How's the game going?" And they messaged me back saying, "I think John and Eliza are winning? Question mark, question mark, question mark." And I'm at work because I've just gone back to work after maternity leave. And I physically stopped and was like, "I smell something and it's not right." Because that's... Jamie is not only playing them both, but he's playing an army he loves. And when he plays an army he loves, it'd be bad news. So yeah, I was a bit baffled. And then obviously I came home and Jamie was like, "Oh no, I did win in the end." I was like, yeah, did anyone expect anything less?
Yes, the toys that were brought were definitely entertaining. So outside of the Jackal Horde and the 8-bound that stomped across the field, and the single unit of Berserkers, because you're like, what if I just didn't play the army anyway somebody expects? Was a Hellbrute that was being played... I was going to get... A Hellbrute with a Plasma, which is being played by a Redemptor, Dreadnought. Which is about the size of Hellbrute probably should be.
Should be the key phrase there.
Should be. A Hellbrute with a missile launcher and a las cannon, which we were like, "There's no melee on that World Eaters unit." And Jamie's like, "Well, I need a few guns." And then rocks up with a Forge Fiend as well, which knowing that model, although it was hilariously being played by a Doomsday Ark.
Yeah. One of my few painted Necrot models got co-opted in to play the Forge Fiend.
Which, now knowing that thing has the frame keyword, so it measures its distance from its frame, the fact it didn't use to measure its distance from its frame is slightly insane. But also, free pivots mean that thing's going to go wild.
Yeah.
We may see a return to the pivot cost, but yeah, the turns out that World Eaters, whilst they may have gone completely insane and just hit things with chain axes, some of them still remember how to shoot.
Yeah. So, I mean, they don't actually hit very well. I mean, they hit on 4s generally, and they obviously the -1s that are across the table. But they do have very interesting bonuses with their guns. Because although they hit on 4s, and therefore for the majority can hit on 5s, all of their guns are rapid fire in some way, shape, or form. And they also have blasts on a lot of weapons I didn't expect. So you actually end up rolling a lot of dice, which kind of levels out. And yeah, turn 1, I fired a Hellbrew with its anti-vehicle weapons and managed to snipe out a Castigator with a lascar. Just the lascar. Just the lascar.
That was kind of our heaviest gun on the board, and there was a moment of just I just turned to a live stream like, oh, what was our solution for dealing with tanks? And it was like that was our solution for dealing with tanks. Like, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, it turns out you don't need many guns on the warriors list to be effective. Just a couple of good ones.
Yeah, and you had a couple of good ones.
I do have a couple of good ones. The other Hellbrook was a bit of a wet blanket and actually probably did more damage to itself than anything else.
It did almost die from hazardous. It almost killed itself.
In fact, the only wounds it took were from itself. Which was kind of hilarious. I'm not a fan of the Hellbrook plasma gun. Simply for the fact that it just... Because it hits so unreliably with not many shots, even... and the fact that it's pretty much guaranteed to damage itself for a fair amount, it's not great, I don't think.
There was an excellent moment where Jamie was looking over the data sheet and was like, where's the non-hazardous profile? And then we looked at it and be like, there isn't one, it's just always hazardous. Like, this thing is just out of control and just cannot fire it in any mode other than hazardous now.
Yeah. Interestingly, the World Eaters vehicles are a lot better in combat as well, obviously. But as much as they, technically, I would say, the optimal choice is to go for the Warfiend or for the hammer-toting Hellbrew. But to be honest, actually just having those couple of guns is really, really nice as an option. And yes, they're not the most optimal choice for the rogue units, but it's also not the most optimal choice for the army if you don't take the guns.
Yeah, because otherwise you're basically limiting yourself to I only play in one phase.
Yes. Which, it's not necessarily a bad thing, depending on the scenario or situation where you got the army. But yeah, I quite enjoy the concept actually that the World Eaters are encouraged to go melee, but at least with the vehicles, there is like a hidden incentive to take the guns.
Yeah. You complain about hitting on 4s, not complaining, but you highlight hitting on 4s and then that going up to 5s. Orcs hit on 5s and that went up to 6s.
Yeah, but you've got a lot more dice than I do.
But, my god, I have never rolled so much. You have no idea, and it was hilarious every single time. At one point, I think it was 36 dice I was rolling into melee.
Melee?
Oh,
What
yes. It was as many in the shooting, but it was only on 6s. But when it got to melee, it was like, oh, it's the same number again.
How did you do though? Or do you not want to talk about
it? They did pretty well, I seem to remember.
Everything you got into combat with tended to die.
Yeah. One that we did discover, which was fascinating as an output from this, and we kind of jumped into just game stuff now. Was something that we alluded to of there were weapons that shouldn't have done what they did. And the one that we then had to go back and look at and be like, no, those numbers are correct, was the medic of the orcs punched harder than the ones that are designed to break into tanks.
Right.
That was weird.
There's some interesting stat lines or something like it. It's like the Psyker being such a...
The Psyker.
A beat stick, literally.
He's got a big stick, and he's going to beat you with it.
But the stick's not that big!
But he's got energy.
I was shocked every time you told me what the strength was on that. I was like,
Yeah,
are you sure you're reading the right profile?
Yeah.
It tried to solo a Demon Prince. It didn't work, but Jay was like, that shouldn't be happening.
No, I mean, it did do damage. It did a lot of damage to the Demon Prince. But that should... an orc weird boy should not be able to challenge a Demon Prince in combat. Yes, it did. Especially a
World Eater's Demon Prince.
A World Eater's Demon Prince, it was actually able to, like, hold its own against and actually do damage to. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. Orcs are fun. I do very much enjoy orcs, and I'm very glad that I have got orcs now to play, because they do exactly what I hoped they were going to do. Again, I feel like these are things which will come out in like battle reports we discuss later, or in the future. But one of the big things that I have learned is, or at least seen people talking about, is how to use trucks. This is my first time using trucks. They've changed a lot in editions, and this is a minor tangent which I will briefly take us on, and then wheel the way back on to. So yesterday I played a game. We've got regular. It's me and mate who regularly get together on a Thursday and do games. I've spoken about it before, but we were so struggling for an idea what to do, and we decided we were going to do 4th. So yeah, we did a game of 4th edition yesterday, and one of the things with the trucks there is they can only be attached to boys. They're dedicated transport, but they do have the old open-topped rule, which means that you could jump out the top of them and then charge. Which I thought that I knew they couldn't, but in my head there was still that little bit of like, oh, that's how they work that's how they're meant to work in 11th edition. Is that they used to get your boys up the board, get out, and then charge. Turns out I was wrong. So it turns out I was wrong about trucks for 11th, at least according to like the community as a whole. Basically, or at least I think since 10th or however long it's been, basically. They're meant to be gunboats, basically. Because they have like firing deck 12, you just want to load them up with boys with guns, and hopefully good guns, and then just fire off the back. Okay, maybe not good guns, but lots of guns, okay?
So they also have good guns, they just have lots of backup.
But I could load them up with burners, and then I don't need to roll to hit, I just have to roll for how many times I'm going to shoot.
True. Does mean you have to get very close, though.
Does mean I have to...
And then...
We're orcs, of course we're getting close!
True.
But yes, basically running them round, so they just become mobile gun platforms, and then if they explode, then they all get out and just shoot the guns again. But I did actually need to... So this was something that I was wondering about as a rule set, which I need to ask for your clarification on, because I feel like you would know this, because you know these things. If I've got like a unit that is in a vehicle that has some kind of special rule that keys off of when they shoot, does that happen when they are using firing deck? Okay.
Because effectively the way firing deck works is that you effectively give those weapon profiles to the vehicle.
That was what I thought it was, but I was just looking for... Because they have recently clarified with the literally day of recording, stuff around the Tacoma Open, where if a character is inside of a vehicle, their ability, they can still use the ability.
Yeah, which is interesting, because that's never been the case before.
Yeah. So...
It's also something I've always held that actually, yes, why can't leaders use their abilities in the transports?
Yeah. Well, they can now.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to the idea that, firing deck just means that you're shooting with the unit outside of the vehicle. So why can't you use their rules?
But yeah. So that was my big thing. I need to actually go through the orcs list to figure out if there is something that essentially has you can move and charge? Because I don't know if there is.
Probably not. I can't think of any like assault craft style.
Yeah.
There's not many of them in the game, I don't think.
I guess it's just you used to it from Marines where Land Raiders exist. And I could always look at a Land Raider and be like, yes, this thing does that job. But yeah, if it's rarer than I thought it is, then
I don't think there are many units in the game.
Although they will get a pseudo version of it when the Codex drops.
Because of the changes the way it works.
Because of the way that trucks will now have a rule where if you get close to a truck, all the boys get to pile out of the truck.
Instantly, the Wilkes' Gore Track detachment makes all transports do that exactly.
Oh, what? If somebody gets close, they pile out?
So, rhinos, it's like, you're walking up to a World Eater's transport.
It just clown cars out. I was going to say clown cars. It's less clown car. It's more like a very, very angry pinata. Maybe a beehive. A beehive feels appropriate.
Yeah. It's pretty like it.
Or a wasp hive.
This is funny. I was looking at that today because I got that. I picked up that very cheap rhino that I'm going to sort of touch up with a World Eater's rhino. Probably this weekend. And I was like, ooh. I know there's like a transport detachment. Yeah, that's the thing that John was talking about the other day. But on all of them.
Yeah, well, we'll only get it on trucks, which,
it's quite cool.
It is cool. Yeah, in terms of, like, outside of that, from like a general, kind of, I guess, game perspective, Orcs are interesting. I do like orcs. I think I definitely need to get better with orcs. But they did have the feeling that I was going for, which was I just get to run at you screaming, and maybe we'll get some hits in, maybe we won't, but it'll be funny either way. One day I'll get my Kareen off. Like I'm desperate to use that strat.
I definitely think orcs are a faction that I should have thought of for a long time, because as much as I joked for years that you should be doing world eaters. Yeah, I think orcs actually were always the perfect pick because they fit you in so many ways. You like the silly, but you don't mind the serious, and they do both. You want painting variety because you, for some reason, enjoy painting, unlike the rest of us. And you get a lot of. Ironically, orcs are one of those ones where you can do it really badly, and it still looks okay. But when you do it well, you've got lots of canvases per model to play with. So you can just go to town and do whatever you like at every model, basically. So they kind of... And they're great for kit bashing as well, and I know you like to do a bit of kit bashing here and there as well.
They are great fun for kit bashing. I haven't done a huge amount of it yet, but I have plans.
They are like the perfect element for you. In that sense. If you were to have one army as like an army you could reliably play and enjoy,
yeah.
My biggest problem with them is I would hate painting because it's I wouldn't be satisfied with doing them badly, but I get annoyed by painting well.
I've definitely found the source for painting them. I just need to like hone that in now, which I've been doing a bunch of experiments to figure out what is like that starting point that I can then use to just start churning them out.
I have been enjoying them.
I felt very Grotznick doing my experiments over here.
It's very cool. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what we end up doing. So, I mean, we've had some interesting conversations about what we end up like doing with these armies, like Horde v Horde, and like big monsters versus big monsters.
I will say there is not in the immediate future, but there is definitely a stomper on the horizon in some capacity.
I sincerely hope so, because at some point in time I will get the whole Lord of Skulls. And the core Lord of Skulls feels like a very orky unit as well.
It does feel like such an orky unit, yeah. I was going to say, Elle, in terms of, because you were hesitant around 11, but I feel like we've done a lot of discussion around like what we've enjoyed about 11. What is your hesitation?
How long you got?
Let's go with a couple of bullet points to begin with, and then we'll try and sell you on an idea outside of those.
Okay. I mean, I have three. Don't worry, John, not 4. I have 3 main problems with the fact that 11 war 40k in general. First one is my biggest pet peeve that I'm not looking forward to is no alternate activations. And I think it really sucks that there are still no alternate activations. There's been 11 editions of Warhammer and there's still no alternate activations. So that's the first one that I'm like not looking forward to. The second one,
I was going to say, just very quickly on that one, is I think you've unfortunately answered your own your own gripe with the answer in your statement there.
I'm aware.
We're 11 editions in, and they've not changed it. I agree wholeheartedly, and I would love alternating activations. Like, I am fully with you there. I can't tell you what. I can't turn around and tell you that it's better to not have alternating activations, because I think in every game I've ever played, I would rather have alternating activations.
Yeah, I'm aware that I answered my own gripe on that one. I will admit that, but it's still a problem that I'm having about going back to 40k.
I think I can offer you some level of compensation.
Okay.
Theoretically, anyway, because it didn't really come up in our initial game, and that's due to the nature of the hobbies being John Pye. But I do believe the concept of the hidden mechanic and the way terrain works now, that it will be a lot less egregious than ecosystem, because there is play in how you can hide units and utilize terrain. I did feel like the game was a bit less killy as well. Like, it wasn't easy to hit things.
No.
Because of all
it wasn't
minus
easy
ones.
to hit things with guns.
With guns, though. Because there's lots of minus ones. Everywhere.
Yeah.
Again, our armies are probably not the best comparison for that, because we're both, with our guns, not very good at shooting. But even so, it was it. Yes, there was the spiky moment with the Hellbrood, but that was a spiky moment. That wasn't representative of what would normally happen. I don't think. It's interesting. I do also have my backline suggestion that I want to try at some point, which is moving the damage table down a tier, which also might help the go thing.
Yeah.
Do you need to clarify what that again?
I'm trying to remember in terms of that was basically the wounds on 3s goes to wounds on 4s, and
essentially just move a little bit figures down, so that if you're double the strength, then instead of being a 2 up to wound, it's a 3 up to wound.
Does that mean that the upper edge of it becomes impossible?
Technically, it would, and in my word, it would be. Although rules have written a 6 always rules. But what it does mean is +1s to wound, but still only be a 6.
Yes, and I mean, if you shift it by 1, you just go. Is it normally a 6 to? On the upper, no, it's a 5. No, if you're equal, it's 4.
If you're equal, it's 4. So in my system, it would equal would actually be a 5.
Right. If you're less than double, it's 6.
Yeah.
and then if you're more than double,
it would be a 7 plus, basically.
which is a 6 and followed by a 1 or more. Yeah? No.
It would just... So a 7 plus in this case would just be the critical, and that's it.
Yeah, okay.
But obviously it means that if you had rules that gives you plus 1s, then you still wouldn't go down to 5 because you'd be on a 7, so it'd still be a 6.
Or you just go for 4th edition table, which is... Your gun isn't strong enough to do any damage.
Which person I would prefer, because as much as I know some people are like, oh yes, but then I can't kill knights with certain guns, I don't care.
You shouldn't be able to! You shouldn't be able to get that lasgun to take out a knight!
Exactly, so I'm just like, I don't give up monkeys. And particularly in our group, we don't really run that kind of thing very often. I mean, knights will end up on the table at some point, but then that's why you bring other units that can do it, and if they die, then change your tactics and don't go for kills.
Avoid the knight.
It works in Legions. We have there's literally half the game, half the units can't damage the other half, and it works, and no one complains. So I don't understand why we couldn't have that.
Yes.
Yes. So that's right. So there are two parts to this. That first point of yourselves. One, I think the game has inherently got some features in there that might make it less egregious to what you previously experienced. In addition to that, we could potentially try my little change at some point, which not only makes the game less killing, but also would hopefully reduce the impact of the I-Go-You-Go system.
My second thing is timing and how long games take, because obviously Legions is a smaller game system, no pun intended, but it's not smaller when it comes to timings, though it is shorter than 40k games I've played before, and it's a really big, I was going to say turn off, that's not the right word, it's a really big con when it comes to that for me, because I feel like the longer it drones on, the more that I'm not going to enjoy it, and I feel like it might steal some of my enjoyment away from that.
I think a big part of that one from a time perspective, they have done a number of things in 11th to expedite the timing process. The new fast rolling, which did come up actually in terms of like our wound allocation, which is rather than what you would have to do, which is okay, I have to go through and be like, I've got a unit that's being shot and I've got a bunch of different profiles in there, so I have to kind of just wait and piecemeal pick out my units or my models until I get to the point where I'm like, okay, now I'm rolling for this guy, now I'm rolling for this guy, and it just ends up becoming a bit of just like a slogfest. Whereas now you go, okay, how many shots am I saving against? I will roll that many dice, and then you line them up in order, and it just goes, okay, from the worst to the best, you just line them all up, and you just go, okay, this guy died, 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 and then let's say that you get to a point where you then got some people who have 4-up saves, and then you just go, okay, well, I've now hit my 4-ups, chunk of the dice, everything past that point is going to be saved. And it has streamlined that process. There's less of that. There's also, it's faster from a shooting perspective, because you are just kind of, you either are in cover or you are not in cover, and it is a binary system of, are you entirely inside of that building or are you not inside of that building? That's the only way it works, which I know Jamie takes slight umbrage with, because technically if he has a single, because we're laughing about this, is literally there was his jackals hit a building. One was like toe inside the building, and it's like the difference of millimeters of, is he outside the building or is he inside the building? That one single model was the difference between either getting a cover save or not getting a cover. Not a cover save, a reduction to hit.
That is a cover save.
And I think, the benefit of cover, because cover save was 4th edition.
Actually, cover save. Yeah, to be fair, technically, cover save probably died out in 5th.
Yeah, yeah. When they did the change over to like 6th to 7th was like the change from, I would say, like 4 to new was like, I think the big shift one. But yeah, so they have streamlined it from that perspective. I do think that your statement around timing and like games feeling like they're a big time commitment, that they're going to take a long time, is unfortunately also wrapped up in a bit of a perception element, which is your point one, which is when you do alternating activations, you feel like you're more involved in the game, whereas there is a bit of a case of, okay, I go, you go, I just have to wait for you to take your turn. I would definitely say that, the timing, that like keeping to the times that we did before in Legions would help in that process. Having that little timer which just says, make a decision, move a unit, make a decision, move a unit, and you get as many as you get for the number of units you have. And whilst it didn't come up in ours, but I think things like Hidden is going to make choices in terms of like, rather than going, oh, do I shoot this guy, do I shoot this guy? If they're hidden, you're not going to have a choice. It's just going to be like, can I shoot that guy, or is that the only viable target, or there might not be a viable target? Similarly as well, I would say charging will feel a lot quicker, because you just go, I want to charge with this unit. Roll. Is there somebody in range, or is there not somebody in range? And that's it.
So a lot of agonizing decisions.
You just go, okay, I want to get these guys to charge. Roll to charge. Cool, they didn't make it. Oh well.
Overwatch being done at the end of the phase, rather than deciding after every movement, do you want to do it?
There's a lot of things they've shifted in terms of the timing, which I think will make it feel a bit smoother. There was one. This is going back to the recent FAQ, the FAQ that came out today. At time of recording, I specifically from your end, if you're planning on, because you're planning on using raptors, because you're night lords, therefore raptors are a thing. The take to the skies element, which is the whole thing of you can basically like go up, you lose 2 inches, but you just move as if there was nothing in the way, including like enemy units or anything like that. That you lose 2 inches. And you can do it either in your movement phase, or you can do it in the charge phase. You have to declare it, and then you roll the charge, which is a bit of a weird one. I don't quite know. I have to see how that's playing out. I get why, but also it's like kind of like you're choosing your mode of charge before you do your mode of charge.
Yeah.
Are you charging on the ground, or are you charging in the air? And you have to make that decision before you know how far you're going to go, which does feel a little bit anathema to this whole idea of charge and find out.
It does feel a little bit silly, since realistically it doesn't really matter, because why can't you just decide on the fly, I'm going to take an extra bonus too?
Also, I appreciate the statement of on the fly. I mean, we might see that change in, they said that there's going to be this month or next month that there's going to be a big balance update thing coming out.
Yeah,
so
I think maybe we'll do it every month, I think, for the next few months. At least for the first kind of few months of the edition. I mean, we are in the unique position that we primarily play within our little group. Anyway. We're not strangers to house rule and things.
No.
I think this is a good point to sort of say, that rule there might be one that we might just go, but you know what, I don't care, pick as and when, it doesn't make a difference really, does it? We're not playing competitively anyway. The idea of shifting the room table is another one that we've had our thought on. We brought up the cover system as well. I think that's one that I want to pick up from Legions, is that you just do it based on it will be a decision you have to make, but you basically just, when you shoot at a target, if some of the models are outside cover and some of them are in, you as the shooter just decide, do I want to shoot everyone, in which case you have to take the units to hit, or you only shoot the models that aren't in cover. and therefore take no penalty, but you can only kill the models that aren't in cover. And personally, I think that's quite a quick and easy decision to make 9 times out of 10 anyway, and it's thematic.
Yeah. I really like when you said about like basically putting that one in. I'm like, yes, that makes perfect sense, because it leads to like a situation where maybe you just go, okay, there's only like, let's say you've got a unit of 10, 5 are outside, 5 are in. Then you can go, okay, well, if I could just nuke those 5 off the board, then that's going to be fine. Or if it's a case of you're going for something for a charge, you can be like, okay, well, I know those 3 are outside the building, I'm going to shoot them off the board, and then I'm going to charge in. And I know that you can only remove those ones that are outside of the building, because those are the ones I've declared to shoot. So I think that one's like a nice, easy one to just put into the game.
Yeah, so that's probably one that I'm pretty much guaranteed I think we're going to add. We will play. I'm going to aim to play at least 3 games with everyone before we start adding stuff or changing things. But I think there's a couple of things that we definitely will try out.
Yeah, they're easy ones to just make it feel a little bit better. But yeah, in terms of like the length of timing, I mean, Jamie, what do you think in terms of like length of time?
Based on what I'm seeing already, I actually don't think it'll be any longer than Legions. If anything, it might even be slightly quicker than traditional Legions. We got to a point where we were doing Legions quite quickly because we had time. That was what made a huge difference to our timelines. And we've already discussed there is a possibility that we can implement the time into 40k as well, slightly different, but that would also help to push things along. And I think that's it. But I genuinely don't think it'll be any longer. Most of these tabletop games are particularly Warhammer, so are never short experiences.
I'm aware of that.
As much as the rulebook quite often says, a Strike Force game will take 3 hours. It takes an hour to set up the game. So yeah, I've never understood where they get their numbers from.
I mean, it's probably if you know your army inside and out, you have everything already set up from the time you go, right, this is battle round 1, and you play through that game, then yes, you probably would only take an hour.
Definitely take an hour.
Or 2 hours even, I can't remember how long they say it would.
3, I think is what they normally say. Yeah, I think it is possible to do it in 2 to 3 hours. But I think the key point is you would have to remember everything and be very quick off the mark. And there aren't many people that can do that. That's what the world. So I would be tempted to say that your average game is still going to be a 4 to 5 hour affair, depending on how much setup you've got to do beforehand.
Yeah.
It's an entire evening's experience, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
For people like us who eventually want to record it, that's potentially going to be a nightmare. Like 4 hours becomes 8 very quickly.
Yeah, that was another facet of that, but I think that's a personal thing channel wise. So,
but yeah, I think again the timing thing. I think that's another one that is probably answered to a certain degree and can be answered with changes we can make. The game is already streamlined quite nicely in a lot of ways. Still don't believe they should have moved psychic phase.
Well,
I mean,
always get what you want, Jamie.
It does streamline it because, like, whilst I appreciate that there is a distinct flavour behind the psychic phase, I do remember going into a game that wasn't against you, but it was a game of Thousand Suns versus Grey Knights, and my god, the psychic phase in 9th edition took forever, because it was just a case of, I go to cast this psychic power, I try to deny the witch. I go to cast the psychic power, I try to deny the witch. And it was just that all the way along, and it was like figuring out chaining your deny the witches, because every unit that they had was a psyker, and every unit I had was a psyker, and there was a lot of back and forth in that psychic phase. And then you go to the next round, and you do it all again.
In fairness, that is a very specific edge case.
It is a very specific edge case, but
also one that I would very much enjoy.
it was entertaining, but my god, it took forever.
Those are two armies. If in the older editions, you definitely have to. You plan a decent bit of extra time into it.
Yes, we did not. And we paid the price for it, because I believe in the entire time that we had, we got to round 2.
In fairness, I've had games like that that do involve sidekicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think potentially that might be a non-issue for you.
I think it is a bit of a, because I'm with you with like I always thought that, or at least felt that like 40k it feels like it takes a lot longer because of that nature of I go you go, and in all fairness, like the game that we did, we probably I reckon we started, I want to say probably about 1 o'clock. With all chatting and talking and everything like that. There was a break in the middle and we were done by about 6, which for a very first game with armies that we didn't know and occasional bits where we had to roll stuff back because mostly me and Eliza. I don't think it was any other. No, I'm not just saying mostly. It was only me and Eliza that ever needed to roll stuff back. I don't think there was a point where you did something that you then needed to roll back.
There was a point where I really wanted to, but I also knew I was winning, so I was like, I can't ask you to roll back. there was definitely a point. Yeah. There was one particular point where I was like, I really want to roll back because I made a really fucking stupid mistake. That would have, but then I was like, yeah, but if I make you roll back and it goes the way it should do, then this game's going to be over really quick.
But my point stands in terms of like it was relatively quick.
I think it was actually, putting it in the context like that, which I hadn't really thought of actually, that was very quick, considering that as someone myself who generally knows their army from top to bottom, and probably everyone else's as well, the fact that I had to constantly start reading my own rules because I hadn't bothered to read my rules beforehand, and we still got the game done by a reasonable time. Yeah. It's very impressive, realistically.
And I think that does come down to a lot of just little tweaks that have been done here and there just to make it a bit quicker. And there was still moments where I was just kind of just sat down because it was your turn and I was just waiting. But it's gonna say it wasn't as bad because there was that moment to be like, okay, I know I don't currently need to do anything. I can just kind of sit down for a minute here.
There were some. I personally did think there were a couple of moments where it was quite nice to have a little opportunity to have a break, so to speak. Especially because we obviously had my son there, or our son there, so to say. But at the time, it was only me there, so I was able to go and pick him up and spend a few minutes with him. Even though we had a licensed partner there to basically look after him while we were playing the game. It gave me the opportunity to go and see him for a few minutes and pick him up, show him what was going on the table and stuff like that. It kind of had its advantage that way, and also as someone who is quite frankly not very physically healthy anymore, able to take a moment to sit down and
I'm shocked that you sat.
I
sit.
I did a couple of times.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have to be stood up all the time.
I mean, I guess it can have its pros and cons. I just don't. That was a massive thing for me when Jamie and I would play 40k before, like when he would suggest it. The thing that would be in the back of my head would be, oh, I don't know if I want to because I know how long it takes. And part of that might be due to the fact that obviously back then Jamie would normally have a psychic phase, which, as you said John, can take an age depending on what edition you're in. So it could have had something to do with that. Now that you've said that there have been a couple of things that are different, that might be able to make it go at least smoother, so it doesn't feel like it's so I'm gonna sit back and watch my army get annihilated. I definitely feel just a little bit more confident about it, but I think with that second aspect, I don't know if I'll know how I actually feel about it until I play a game, because I feel like I could make a prediction of how I would feel about it, but then when an actual game was happening and I was involved in, I think my opinion might change. So we'll have to see in real time for that one.
I think that is always going to be the case. Is you only know what it's like when you're actually sat there doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Because like we can expose it. It is all these wonderful things, and it is that much smoother. But until you're actually sat there playing it,
yeah.
One thing I will say though is whether Legions, from your perspective, got faster because you were playing it more regularly as well.
I think it wasn't that. It was that we were playing more regularly, even though we were. I mean, at one point, I think Jamie and I, especially when I went on maternity leave, I think we were playing like a game a week. So we, especially like when Alex was smaller and not so active and he slept a lot during the day, it was obviously a lot easier to play games because he would just be sleeping all the time. So yeah, we were playing like a game a week, and I don't think it was the amount that we were playing. I think it was, I love it. Like I love the game system. It is definitely one of the best game systems that I've ever played in anything, not just Warhammer. And I think that the enjoyment aspect of it made me go, oh, I know what I'm doing. Oh, I'm going to read up on my rules. I'm going to make my own list, and I'm going to lose horrifically, but it's going to be fine because I'm going to enjoy myself. And I think that part is the bit that concerns me more about the length of time. Even though it's twin linked, I think that it is the enjoyment part that I'm like about, because I want to enjoy it. I want 11th edition to be the new thing that we do and the thing that I enjoy about the hobby. I don't want it to kind of feel like a chore, like whether it's as a social aspect or if as a content aspect. I don't want it to feel like, oh my god, I got to play a game of 40k. Oh my god, and I don't want it to be that. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I didn't. It's a fair point. And again, I think that's one of those things that you can only really find out. The one I would guess as a comparison to Legions, and I appreciate from your perspective, it's less of an issue. It was something that was kind of being fixed within us, but it did require a lot of work from Jamie. Is Legions is limited by its variety.
Mm-hmm.
To the Horus Heresy.
That is true, yeah.
Which, yes, there were rules that were that we had found, and there were rules that were being written to implement other factions into it. That is a lot of additional work, and with 40k, I think one of my biggest selling points, or elements to it, is that there is more options than Space Marines fighting Space Marines.
that is true, yeah. Which, to be honest, kind of neatly takes me on to my third problem that I'm having with going to 11th edition, going back to 40k. I have a concern because obviously everyone obviously knows, or should know if you watch enough of our videos or you follow any of the channel. I am obviously starting a Night Lord's army. Got the combat patrol, got the Nemesis Claw kill team, planning on getting at least 2 boxes of the Murder Wing kill team, which I'm really, really excited. And that is going to be my 40k army. That is what I'm working on. That is the physical hobby aspect. I am concerned that they are going to turn my army into mush, and it is not going to be good to play or decent to play. And I have a concern that from a rules aspect, that I am going to hate playing the army that I love, essentially.
So when you say they're going to turn your army into mush, are you on about when as in, are we the ones that are going to be turning it into mush, or is GW the ones that are going to be turning it into mush?
James Workshop is the one that, not like us as a collective, no, like the GW, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, GW.
Ironically, I think they're complete opposites, because 40k has got a lot of variety in the way you can run an army. Like, as we discussed at the beginning, like detachments and composition system. That doesn't exist in Legions. In fact, the version of Legions you're used to is the heavily modified version that we kind of rewritten to make it as thematically fun as we can. I think 40k is actually quite well structured for you to find a way to play it that you would enjoy. You don't have to play the Night Lords inspired lists at all. You don't have to, because they're not keyworded like that. You like your big tanks and stuff. I'm glad you don't have big tanks for 40k at the moment. But if you wanted to go into a tank heavy list with the Night Lords, nothing is stopping you, because you can take the armor focused detachment for Space Marine, Chaos Space Marine, which, I'll be honest, I don't know what it is, where it is, what the rules are, because I've looked into it, but I guarantee you there is one there, because it'll be the Iron Warriors. But you don't have to play that detachment.
Yeah, I'm not, obviously I know that like Chaos Space Marines in general are like, a big thing when it comes to Warhammer, and it's a successful faction.
It's not just successful, it's very well. It's probably the best supported faction outside of Space Marines, I would say.
Yeah.
And I can also tell you for free that their army, their Dark Packs, is consistently regarded as one of the best armies in the game. Not in the sense that it's overpowered, but it's just good.
Yeah, I think it's like an irrational kind of, I don't want to say fear, but it is kind of like that. Oh my god, I'm going to put so much time and so much effort into making, creating, and loving my army, and then what if I put it on the tabletop and I either hate it because of the rules, or hate it because I go, oh my god, I've made a horrible mistake. Even though I hope I won't, because obviously it is Night Lords, but still.
My one counter argument to that, and it is a thing that I have seen, a statement that I have seen exposited in many places in the book, and around the same idea, is that toys are forever, rules are temporary. The thing that you should be thinking about is not, are my rules good for this edition, and therefore I'm going to paint my toys that way. It's, I've painted my toys this way, and I will play with the rules that I have, but they are still, like, they will still be there, and, you know, hypothetically, if we go and we start playing this and a bunch of things happen and we go, actually, we all don't like this, you have actually already highlighted one thing already. We've got 11 previous editions that we could potentially play through.
That is very true. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Which could be very entertaining. My funniest idea. This is something which I literally just as I was just saying that.
Tangent.
Which I think. I don't know whether this would be a future episode because I think it would be a lot of work, but it would be very entertaining work. Fighting armies across different editions, not in the sense of like you know, we do a game where we're both in 4th edition or 5th edition. It's like, no. One person is in one edition and the other person is the other edition, and see how it works. It would be wild. It would be insane, but it would be very entertaining.
Do you know what, though? Like, we are so close to our 500 subscriber. I'm pretty sure we're like a couple of subscribers away from 500, which means we can obviously start offering memberships. We could do that as a membership option. We could make that video for our channel members and actually see how much chaos we can cause, because I love that idea.
It would be
maybe at some point.
Yeah, it would. Like, there are some where it would play nicely, but there are also some where it would be real rough.
Well, yeah, because how does that work with like Worldies? It's like, if we go back 2 editions, do I just automatically lose?
Well, no, because you existed, you just weren't a full army on your own.
Yeah, so half my units don't exist.
Yeah, you just got to figure out what they fit as.
Like,
you know?
and literally, like, half my army just disappears. I'm left with cold berserkers. Like,
they just get Thanos snapped out of existence.
No, the 60 jackals I spent ages on.
They're cultists in a different skin.
Can I just say one thing? Obviously, I think I've like just tempted fate or something, because I just had a look at the channel to see how many subscribers we have, and we have officially hit 500 subscribers, which is incredible. Like that, I doubt you'll be able to see the screen, but yeah, we have 500 subscribers, which is absolutely incredible. That's like 100 times, no, not 100, but like it's a massive difference to where we started. So thank you, everybody, because that's amazing.
That's amazing.
Sorry.
Live in the episode, we found out that we were on 500.
I swear, like earlier today, I had a look and we were on like 490 something. So that's awesome.
Well, no. Guess we'll have to do something now.
I was saying no.
I think we're gonna have to do something for if we get any channel members.
I don't know, I have to just do something for 500.
A 500 special.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll come up with something. Comment if you've got any ideas for what we can do for
I would say we have
our
to do something
500
like
special.
something to do with 500 worlds, but we've got nothing. We've got no ultra. So.
No Ultramarines or Necrons!
well, I've got Necrons, but not very many
Necrons. Actually, we do have access to an Ultramarines army that we could ask to see if we could, but we'll see about that. But yeah. But back to what we were talking about before, I do think that you have a point about, obviously, you can kind of pick and choose the way that your perspective on your army versus your rules. With like my ADHD riddled mum brain right now, I don't think that I took that into account. So yeah, I do think you have a point.
And I mean, we as a collective are by far not above and actively encourage proxying. So if there is one of the the aligned chapters that you go, actually, I prefer the idea of that. We can make that work. They'd be weird, but we can make it work. I feel.
Yeah.
You know.
I think it's as well. It's I think it's a pride thing as well, because obviously my Night Lords are different to the Night Lords that kick around in the lore. Now I have my own separate lore that they're a part of and all of that, and I think that that because I'm very proud of the work that I've put into their lore, I kind of think about that more when it comes to rules and stuff. So yeah.
I fear that I'm far too much down the orc pipeline now, where I'm like, if I lose, I just get to crump again. I just get to try again next time. You know, it's not losing. It's just an excuse to try and do it again.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm worried that you cut me and I bleed green. At this point, like, you know.
I was gonna say you really love the greens, don't you? Because I mean, you had Dark Angels, and now you're on Orcs.
In fairness, he only had Dark Angels like 5 minutes before he moved on to Orcs.
No,
True.
Dark Angels are still there. They're just orcs. Just orcs now.
I think you'll find most of the Dark Angels are here.
Most like that.
Are you going to do salamanders next? Are we going down the green pipeline? Is that what's happening?
I think he's going down the green pipeline, but I don't think they're leaving planet Orc.
No. It's just more orc now. It's all orc all the way down. I mean, I'm not going to say that I haven't I haven't found a way of doing orc guard, which would be actually it'd be grots. It would be grot guard.
I have seen.
Oh my god!
The grot revolutionary army is very entertaining.
I have something to do that one. What's the one I've seen on play on with the orc space marines, where they've got their cardboard cutouts of the space marines. One of my absolute favourite conversions, and I enjoyed this conversion, I think, possibly even before I was actually playing 40k, is the person who did, I was like, it's either Commandos or Tank Busters, but they're wearing bits of a rhino, and when you push all the models together, it makes a rhino with all these, like, cuts out on it. And it just says, not orcs, space marines. It's SPESH Marines. Yeah, you do some funky stuff with the orcs.
Every kit is an orc kit. It's just the limitation is how orky can you make it.
Yeah. And in fairness, I mean, to a certain point, if you really are stuck for proxies, you just put bases on the table and paint them purple.
Yeah. Oh no, they were painted purple. There was one I saw somebody do, and it's the base, and the orc is hiding underneath the base. So it's a pair of arms and the orc head sticking out from underneath the base. That was a good Commandos proxy. I was like, I approve of that Commandos proxy. Oh, so yeah, 11th edition.
So. The real question is, have we convinced you that it's worth a try? I mean, we all know we're going to make you try anyway, but have we alleviated some of your concerns?
I will be forced to endure whether I like it or not. And I mean, I'm definitely more open to it.
That's
However, good. I'm still at that point where I'm like, it's something new. My brain doesn't like things that are new. This is something that I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. I want to be good at it, but that's going to make me be kind of sporadic and all over the place. But I will definitely take the fact that obviously what you said, John, about like my army versus the rules. I think that was like my big concern. Obviously, as you said, alternative activations would be an ideal world. It's the 11th edition and it's still not happening. It's probably not going to happen, let's be real. So I think I'm going to get over that. And the game's length, I think, is something that I'll definitely just have to see how it goes, learn with the game, and hopefully the more I learn, the more it becomes smooth, like it did with Legions. I think convinced is the wrong word, but I think I'm definitely more open-minded than I was. You have opened my mind when it comes to 11th than more than before.
I mean, that is the positive. Although I always, whenever I hear anybody say about an open mind, I always immediately go to I think it was Dawn of War, but it's definitely a famous quote that is attributed to 40k, which is just like, an open mind is like a fortress; its walls unbarred and unguarded.
I mean,
but that's 40k for you. You know, open minds aren't exactly commonplace within that particular universe.
yeah.
Not common and not respected.
I think I was going to say, obviously, Jamie, you know, we have plans around more practice games, and I think that is where like the timings around it will start to kind of show their head. We'll get an idea in terms of what it is going to look like timings wise, as we get more practice games in, and hopefully that reflects a speedy enough approach to it.
Yeah, it should do. I mean, I've got visions for getting me and you playing games regularly again. I was once a week, which is ambitious considering how time I these days, but
Yeah.
I think it can be done. So yeah, I think the more practice we can get, the faster we can get, the more efficient we'll be, and getting stuff.
Sorry, I just remembered actually something which I heard about, which links into Els, your thing of enjoying Night Lords but with tanks. Apparently, citation potentially needed here, they are going to be bringing the Legends rules into the app.
Not allegedly, they are.
Oh, they are? Okay.
That was part of the reveal for 11th. They did say that.
Oh, did they explicitly that? No. Which means that all those Horus Heresy vehicles,
which, by the way, are some of the best vehicles in the game.
Yeah.
you could take them much more easily.
Oh, I've got to check actually. Can all the deity legions still access the heresy stuff? Because they should be able to.
I don't think we want to answer that question because I think I know the answer.
Probably not. It's just going to make me very upset.
Probably not. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
Just going to be upset. I want my world eater Spartan in 28 mil.
No, you want your World Eaters Mastodon in 28 mil.
Oh my god.
Yes, I do.
Imagine the size of that thing. It'd be like half the size of the bloody board.
I'm not
You can buy one.
You can, but it's
You can.
I'm not going to lie. If they do make a plastic kit, I will probably buy one. And rules be damned, I'm using it.
Yeah. Actually, there was a thing saying about the idea of that being half the size of the board. I potentially do think that, I know they say about like the board is 60 by 44. I want to say. I do potentially think it could do with being a bit bigger.
Potentially, I mean. Maybe. I think. Yes, probably. But I think we do have to account for the fact that obviously we were playing like not quite Horde Army, but we weren't far off it on both sides.
Yeah. Yeah. I did just check, by the way. World Eaters do get access to Legends. But you do get access. You do get access to a Spartan. And a Mastodon. And a Mastodon, technically. As a quick bit of context, assuming that it stays the same, a Spartan is 300 points. It can take 28 World Eaters models.
A full brick of 20 Berserkers in a single transport with 8
Jesus.
8 bound take up 2 spaces.
Oh no, I could still get some 8 bound in them.
They're the same size as Terminators.
No.
You'll be.
I could put 20 Berserkers and 8 Goremongers, or 20 Jackals and 8 Goremongers.
And a Mastodon is 540 points and can hold 45 infantry.
40 Berserkers and some characters.
In what situation do you... Oh my god.
I mean, it can also take 2 Dreadnoughts.
Stop it.
Oh, Leviathan Dreadnoughts! Oh!
Leviathan Dreadnoughts are on there. A Leviathan Dreadnought is 160 points.
Oh, so that's not coming back because they were never in 4K.
No.
I bet the newer stuff ain't in there.
No. Contemptors are. You can take a Contemptor.
That's the only problem I'm going to find is like all the new cool heresy stuff that didn't previously exist aren't going to exist in these Legends rules, which is very upsetting.
You can also take a Blood Slaughterer, which I didn't even know what that was until I looked it up.
What's that?
It's like a weird, like, corn, like, demon engine-y thing.
I remember the Chiton, which is basically a Lord of Skulls but with legs.
Oh, the Khitan Ravager. Yes, that you can also take that. It's 400 points.
It's basically
I mean, it is literally a Lord of Skulls but with legs, because you take the Lord of Skulls and you stick legs on the bottom. Like, that's literally what it is. It's cool, but it is. You'd probably be better off buying a Knight kit and a Lord of Skulls and just kit bashing it as opposed to buying a pair of resin legs. Watch this space and JV's obsession with Heresy-era vehicles appearing.
Yes, thanks, John. Thanks
You're welcome.
for encouraging him.
You're welcome.
I like my Heresy hero stuff. What can I say?
You can technically take a Sotar Stormburn as well, but I think that might be potentially a step too far. It is 900 points!
I don't care, it's the coolest thing that's ever been made.
It is literally the coolest thing that has ever been made.
It's like the one thing that's cooler than a Mastodon.
Yeah. You can take the Storm Eagle as well, Jesus. That can take 22 World Eaters. And a Dreadnought. And a Dreadnought.
So, stick a Leviathan with 20 Berserkers and some characters, and you've got yourself a party bus.
Yeah, it is a party bus. It is a flying party bus. I think you probably should. Maybe you shouldn't. I don't know.
I definitely shouldn't, but I'm probably going to.
We'll see then.
Well, let me put this way, right? I've already got the Berserkers. we've got the characters. There already exists a Leviathan plastic kit that's very nice. All I need is the Stormtrooper kit.
Fingers crossed.
Cool, yeah, now if that happens, I'll probably buy them.
Yeah, you probably will.
I'm probably gonna buy them.
Oh well, there's some fun future purchases.
I'm not gonna buy them.
It would be terrifying. It would be absolutely terrifying in World Eater's colours.
Well, we'll hold off on that for now. I've got plenty of other things to do for World Eaters, and I still have another 3 Legions I want to try out as well. But yeah, yes. I have found that I've become rather fond of them. They're very simplistic, but you can do fun things with them, which I never would have expected.
Yes. And I'm enjoying doing fun things with orcs.
Which we all do.
It was always going to happen. They're just fun.
They've always
just fun.
Like from day dot, they've always been fun.
I'm looking forward to seeing how they fare against some Night Lords.
I'll be interested to see how Night Lords go.
Hopefully, I can win something for once.
Right, you need to get on and finish building your last couple of models. Because we need to get some practice games in soon.
Yeah, I know.
You got a rhino to load up with lads, and then yeah.
Yeah, I'll get there. Don't worry.
Right. I get the feeling we might have reached the end of our little discussion here.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we managed to sell L on alleviate some concerns. You were always going to play 11th. I just hope that we've alleviated some concerns about 11th.
Yeah, that goal has been reached.
That's good.
And maybe we'll be able to sell you on the whole thing. I mean, you will have plenty of character options, I will say. You know, you get a lot more options for building characters in 40k than you do in Legions. Like you can actually have your characters reflected in the game compared to Legions, where
I am so excited for that bit. Honestly, yeah.
Well, interestingly, that will become a topic for a future episode, not too long. Characters in 40k. But we've got to get some practice games in first to get our feet on the ground and test the waters.
Yes.
But that will be a feature coming very soon. So, with all that being said, it appears that we've achieved our objective. We've discussed our experiences so far, limited though they may be, and we have plenty of plans for more stuff. The next couple of sessions, so obviously as you will have already seen in our previous video, that we're going through a little phase at the moment where we're going to be three people on screen. Later down the line, there'll only be me and Els on screen because everyone is taking various bits of time off over the sort of summer period. Apart from me, I don't get time off. That's just not allowed.
That's what happens when you work for yourself.
So we're gonna have a bit of a disrupted schedule in terms of who's on and who's not. But rest assured, things are still ploughing on and moving forward. We will hopefully in the next couple of weeks / month or so, we'll start looking at getting some. Just lost. So, as you can probably tell, we had a camera issue. Yep. So we're just going to close out now before any more issues occur.
Or it just catches fire or something else.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just going to say thank you very much for joining us. As you've heard during the episode, we've hit our 500 subscriber mark. It's a big big moment for us, quite exciting. We shall have to have a chat about what we're going to do and all of that very, very soon. And with that said, please do make sure you're subscribed. And obviously like and comment on the video if you can and are willing and are able.
And follow the TikTok and the YouTube shorts. Make sure you follow those. That's where I do most of the content. We're also on Instagram and Facebook. I'm going to try and keep posting on them a little bit more. Just follow it all and make sure you're up to date.
That's our social media correspondent.
It's literally my job, so yeah.
Do all those things. Thank you very much for joining us. We have been Mead Wargaming. We'll see you next time in the middle. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye.